What's up, guys? Jay here with Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you with a little cycle review video today. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Charm cycle from Khans of Tarkir. Previously saw cards like these from the Shards of Alara block, but they're back now for Khans of Tarkir. I really like when they print cards like these. You know, it's just very flavorful. I like seeing, cards like these that give you so many options of things to do that you can do with the card. But anyway, basically what this video will consist of is I will take these 5 cards and I am going to rank them from my personal favorite down to my personal least favorite, at least from a standpoint of how relevant they are in the Commander format. So without further ado, let's take a look at the first charm we have here. And the first one we have is the Jeskai charm. Cost a blue, a red, and a white. These are all instants. So we're mainly just going to look at the 3 modes that each of the cards do. So for Jeskai charm, you get to choose one of the following. Put target creature on top of its owner's library, or Jeskai charm deals 4 damage to target opponent, or creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain lifelink until end of turn. I personally feel like this is probably one of the weaker charms. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some good modes on this. I know this card is played in Jeskai decks and Standard. The modes on them for Standard are pretty good. At least from a Commander standpoint, not so much. I mean, the only one that I would probably ever really play maybe in Commander is the last one. Give my creatures a +1/+1 and lifelink. I mean, pitching a creature to the top of somebody's library isn't bad either. But, I mean, a lot of these modes just aren't really that relevant in Commander, I feel. So, but anyway, that's the Jeskai charm. Next, we'll take a look at the Mardu charm. 1 red, 1 white, and 1 black. Choose one. Mardu charm deals 4 damage to target creature, or put 2 1/1 white warrior creature tokens onto the battlefield. They gain first strike until end of turn. Or target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. I really like the Mardu. Their clan overall, they're probably my favorite clan from Khans of Tarkir, but at least from a Commander standpoint, this is probably another one of the weaker charms, I feel. I mean, the 4 damage to target creature, that could, kill a pretty decent amount of creatures in the format. But as far as just getting 2 1/1 soldiers that gain first strike until end of turn, they don't gain first strike forever. I mean, that's okay. And, being able to, pick a non-creature, non-land card from somebody's hand, make them discard it, that's okay too. But, I mean, in Commander, there's a lot of recursion, for those types of cards. Non-creature, non-land, that's artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers. So, I mean, there are ways to recur those types of cards. But, I mean, I feel like this is probably another one of the weaker charms, at least from a Commander standpoint. But that is Mardu charm. Next, we'll take a look at Sultai charm. 1 black, 1 green, 1 blue. Choose one. Destroy target monocolored creature, or destroy target artifact or enchantment, or draw 2 cards, then discard a card. This, I feel, all 3 of these modes are very relevant in Commander. I think this is one of the stronger charms for Commander. Being able to blow up a creature, or blow up an artifact or enchantment, or being able to draw cards is just really good. All 3 of those modes are really good in Commander. Granted, the destroying of a creature, it has to be a monocolored creature. So, I mean, that does limit your options a little bit. But most of the time, a lot of threats, a lot of creature threats. You know, most of them are monocolored. Yeah, there's some multicolored creatures out there that are pretty big threats, but overall, all three of these modes are pretty damn relevant in Commander, I feel. So I feel like the Sultai Charm is probably one of the more stronger charms, if not the best one. So that is Sultai Charm. Next, we'll take a look at the Temur Charm. One green, one blue, and one red. Choose one. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It fights target creature you don't control. Or counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. Or creatures with power 3 or less can't block this turn. This one's not bad. It has some pretty decent modes on it. The one where you can pump one of your creatures and have it fight another creature is pretty good. You know, especially if you give like the creature death touch. You know, then it'll just instantly, or if you give this to a creature with death touch rather. You know, you could be tricky with that. At least in my play group, there's hardly any counter spells, but I know in a lot of people's decks they like to put counter spells in. So basically, this is like a mana leak as well if you want it to be. And then the last mode isn't bad either. You know, you can could potentially use that against somebody that's, you know, running like a token generation deck. You know, because a lot of their tokens will probably be 3 or less power, and they won't be able to block, and then you can just alpha strike them. So, I mean, this one's got some pretty good modes on it. I don't think it's as good as the Sultai Charm, but I think it is better than the previous two, the Jeskai and Mardu charms, but that's my personal take on it. So that is the Temur Charm. And lastly, we'll take a look at the Abzan Charm. One white, one black, and one green. And you choose one. Exile target creature with power 3 or greater, or you draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life, or distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. I definitely feel like this is another one of the stronger charms from the cycle, from a commander standpoint. Being able to exile a creature with 3 or greater power is very nice. Basically all your opponent's big threats, you can exile them with this card. Being able to draw 2 cards at the cost of 2 life, I'll take that anytime. You know, card advantage is very welcome in Commander. Seeing as you have 99 cards in your deck, being able to draw cards is a very relevant thing to do in Commander. As far as the last one, distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. I mean, that's okay. You know, if you have a like a Gave deck, that mode is a pretty relevant mode. You know, putting counters on things, but I mean, it's not a bad ability. I just don't feel like it's too relevant in Commander. But the other 2 modes on this are extremely relevant. Being able to exile a big threat and drawing 2 cards and losing 2 life is really nice. Okay, so that is all 5 of the charms. As far as how I would rank them from best to least best, in my personal opinion, I think for the best one, I would probably have to go with Sultai Charm. All 3 of these modes are super relevant, especially in Commander. Destroy a creature, or destroy an artifact or enchantment, or draw 2 cards and discard a card. So kill, more kill, you know, kill for creatures, kill for artifact and enchantments, and card advantage. I mean, what more could you want from a 3-cost instant? So I would have to say Sultai Charm is probably my number 1. So I'm going to put it up at the front here. As far as the next best one, I'd probably have to go with Abzan Charm. The first 2 modes on this are really good. Exiling a creature with power 3, granted it has to be power 3 or greater, but you know, any creature with power 3 or greater is going to be a big nasty threat that you probably don't want to be staring down on the other side of the table anyways. So being able to exile it, really, really good. Drawing 2 cards and losing 2 life, also really, really good. I'll gladly pay 2 life to draw 2 cards anytime, unless I'm obviously at 2 or less life. But, you know, those first 2 modes are really good. The last one, it's okay. You know, putting +1/+1 counters on dudes is nice, I guess. You know, it's not super relevant, I feel, but the first 2 modes are very, very, very good. So I would have to place Abzan Charm as my number 2, so let's just shift these over a bit here. So my number 1 is Sultai Charm, my number 2 would be Abzan Charm. For number 3, I'd probably have to go with... it's a tough call. I mean, I'm looking at Jeskai Charm and Temur Charm. It's a really tough call between those 2. But I think I would probably have to go with Temur Charm as my number 3. You know, potential creature destruction by having one of your creatures fight another creature, being able to counter a spell is pretty good. You know, like I said, my play group does hardly any counter spells, but don't get me wrong, counter spells aren't bad by any means. So, you know, potential creature removal, potential spell disruption, and potential alpha striking your opponent and making a lot of their smaller creatures not being able to block, especially if they're running like a token generation deck. You know, it's got some pretty solid modes on it, so I would probably have to put Temur Charm at number 3. And then number 4 would obviously be the Jeskai Charm. You know, you could temporarily get rid of an opponent's threat by putting it on the top of their library. They're just going to draw it next turn and potentially cast it again, but you know, if it's doing something that's disrupting your plan for that turn, you know, you can get it off the board, put it on the top of their deck, and then they're just going to draw into it and not draw something new, so it's not bad. 4 damage to target opponent, I mean, that's okay. You know, you could potentially take out an opponent at low life with this, you know, if they're at that low life. I mean, that second one's not too relevant, but I really do like the last one, where your creatures get +1/+1 and gain lifelink until end of turn. That's pretty nice. So yeah, I would put Jeskai Charm at number 4, and then obviously the Mardu Charm would be my number 5. I just feel like a lot of these modes just aren't relevant in Commander. I mean, the first one, I mean, it's probably the most relevant out of the 3. For Commander anyways, being able to deal 4 damage to target creature, so you could potentially kill one of your opponent's threats. But the other 2 are just very underwhelming. You get 2 1/1 white warrior creature tokens with first strike, but they only get first strike until end of turn. You know, that's kind of meh. And then the last one, you know, you get to make your opponent discard a non-creature, non-land card, so an artifact or enchantment or planeswalker. Or, you know, an instant or sorcery. So, I mean, that's okay, but as far as, you know, the whole package is concerned, this is probably the weakest charm, I would say, out of the 5, at least from a Commander standpoint. So yeah, that is my personal ranking of the 5 charms from the Khans of Tarkir set. So just to go over it again, at number 1, I put Sultai Charm. At number 2, I put Abzan Charm. Number 3, Temur Charm. Number 4, Jeskai Charm. And number 5, the Mardu Charm. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, throw out a like or a comment or a subscribe or all 3. We really do appreciate it. We really do love, you know, putting out these videos for you guys, you know, every week. So, you know, show us some love and show us that you enjoy it. But yeah, this has been Jay with Tap and Turn Gaming. Also, visit our local gaming store's website, the Battleground Games and Hobbies, at www.battlegroundgames.com. That's our local gaming store that Derek and I frequent for our Magic the Gathering needs. So yeah, again, this has been Jay with Tap and Turn Gaming. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you later in a future video.